Hello, I'm Janine Nodder, and on this episode of Chatting with Janine, we're going to be talking about ultra marathon running. Not the running that I do, which I don't even know if I can call it running anymore. I jog. I used to run marathons, but I don't know that I could do that anymore. I could try. But Chad Horton, 26.2 miles is a walk in the park for him. He runs. We're going to find out how far he runs. Welcome, Chad.
Hi, nice to meet you again.
I think I saw you running this morning.
Yes, we passed each other when there was a little bit of sun shining through the clouds there, so that was kind of nice.
Well, I got in a whopping 4 miles.
A whopping 4 miles. I think mine was 3.8 something, or I'm sorry, 5.8 this morning. So.
And that what took you five minutes?
No, it took me 50 minutes. Yeah, so it's a little bit different training this morning. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So, what is an ultra marathoner? I mean, how many miles do you run?
Well, I mean, an ultra runner is anything. Ultra marathon is anything more than a marathon. So. I'm moving towards more than 50 miles now. So I ran my first 50 last year. So we're kind of working towards a 100-mile race this year.
100-mile race?
100-mile race this year.
How long will that take?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. There's a lot of strategy involved in it. There's a lot of training. I think my hope is that I could do it in 24 hours. But we'll see. My son called me last month or the month before, and he said, "Hey, Dad, I'm trying to plan my year. Do you want to do a 100-mile race with me?" And I said, "Well, you couldn't find anybody else to do it?" He goes, "Nobody else wants to do it. You're the only one I know who would want to do this." So, so I said, "Okay, so let's start planning this. Let's start doing this."
I've read books on races like that take like 24 hours, and you don't stop.
Yeah. So this isn't, it is crazy. I mean, my wife says I'm crazy. A lot of people think it's insane. Most people
I consider you a superhuman, and you're not the only one. I mean, there's other runners in Merrimack that I don't know how they do what they do.
Yeah.
We have some mutual acquaintances. There's Christine, who runs every single day, no matter the weather, every single day for the last several years.
Yeah.
And then there's Cindy, who's run a marathon in every state. She runs fast. She's shorter than I am, and she's going like the wind. She runs a camp for kids. Her husband can run a marathon without training and finish well, and the whole and their kids too. They're all amazing athletes.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how they do it.
It is amazing. I just got into running, back into running, I guess, a few years ago when a buddy from work said, "Hey, do you want to go run the Blue Hills, which is down by Boston?" So we went on a trail down there. We ran 7 or 8 miles, had a blast, and I kind of got.
So without training, you just went and ran 7
Yeah,
miles
and it wasn't. It was very casual. It was very casual. It was there was 3 of us, and we ran when we felt like running. We stopped when we wanted to, and we had a beer afterwards. But that kind of got me back into the love of running. I was in track when I was in high school years ago, and I did a little cross country. But I think what I've come to love, or what I realized I really loved, is being on trails, is doing trail running.
Do you ever fall?
Fall all the time. I fall all the time. I fall on concrete and I fall on the trails. So. Do
you have toenails?
Yeah, I do have toenails. I mean.
Running's hard on my toes.
Yeah, no, it is hard. So a buddy of mine, he got me reacquainted with it, and I kind of fell in love with it. And actually, that was right at the beginning of COVID. And after that, I started hitting the trails in Horse Hill, and I just ever since then I've kind of just been, even if it wasn't a training plan, I was just hitting the trails and getting out there running. So
I used to run all over Merrimack, everywhere. I'd go all the way down Back River Road from exit 10 between 10 and 11 to all the way to Back River Road, all the way around. Bob LaRue used to have water waiting for me when I passed by his house.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah,
and
little aid station, huh?
Yes, and now I pretty much stay closer to home. But I see you brought some items with you. I have a million questions for you. I hope I have enough time to ask them all.
I hope so, yeah.
But first of all, I want to back up before I forget, because you said you ran less than 4 miles a day in 50 minutes. So that's a very, very slow run. Yeah.
So it was meant to be on the slow side today, and there was 2 miles in there. They were supposed to be 1 mile fast-paced with a slower one in between. So that's just part of my training regimen, working up to the 100. So I actually I hired a trainer from Team Run Run, and he's also an ultra runner, and so he's coaching me on what to do for the next 6 months leading up to the race.
Because I was just about to ask if you designed that.
So when I ran the 50 last year with my son Jake, we did that together in October. And I just got a training plan offline, and it was a 3-month training plan leading up to it. I had a pretty good base, so I felt like 3 months was probably enough for me to work on a training plan. And it did work. I mean, it did work, but I wanted a little bit more. We're working to a 100-mile race, and that's a little bit different strategies, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly and not hurt myself. That's the main thing, is I don't want to get injured.
I used to follow Jeff Galloway's guides to run a marathon. But back when I was 35 years old, I was teaching group fitness, and I was fit, but I could not run the length of a parking lot. So, it took me time. I started running just 2-minute increments and worked my way up to be able to finally run a marathon.
I think your body it gets used to it. It's amazing what you can adapt yourself to. So we'll see if I can adapt myself to doing 100. There's nothing special about me. I am the most average person. I wasn't, when it comes to physical, attributes, I don't have anything that puts me at the top of any game. So
take me through a week of training. Everything.
Well,
what you're wearing, your shoes.
Oh well, you wanted to know this stuff. So I wear Hoka shoes, and that's the only reason I wear.
That's how you say it.
Yeah, Hokas.
Okay.
Yeah. The only reason I wear them is because that's what I got turned on to initially when I started running. And
that's why you have toenails, because there's more room in the toes.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit bigger foot box, I guess. I don't know. And I have these are the road shoes. For road running, and I have trail shoes as well, the Hoka trail shoes, and they just have a little bit bigger, a better grip for hitting the trails. So you can actually run on the trails in these as well. So
and you tried other shoes and found these to be the best for you?
I haven't tried any other shoes. I think I may have tried the Sauconys one time years ago.
I use Saucony Triumph.
Yeah,
that's what I run.
So I'm not an expert in any of that stuff by any measure. So I stick with what I like, and I buy Hoka. So the thing is,
socks. Do you wear toe socks?
No, I don't. I have a buddy who told me about those, and I haven't got those yet. I think I might try those on a longer run because it's going to be more important to keep that chafing down. But I haven't. I'll have to experiment with that.
Is there a certain brand of socks? Or
I actually wear a higher wool blend socks because they're easier on the moisture wicking and the smell. You can actually wear them multiple times if you let them dry out. You don't need to wash them. You can wear them a couple times. I just usually hang them over a basket after I've run.
When you're running the 100 miles, do you wear the same socks the whole run, or do you stop and change socks?
I'm not sure. So I've never run 100. So the 50 that we did in October was a real learning experience because we didn't know what to expect. Rachel, my wife, God bless her soul, she was my crew, so she's trying to figure this out as well, as much as we are.
Does she follow you in case you need supplies? Like you can't just run without water. And I mean, how much do you carry?
Yeah, so that's just it. So we didn't know, and there's aid stations along the way. So we packed a lot of extra food. This is some of the food here. These are just. I didn't bring
electrolytes, candy.
Yep. These are electrolytes. This is just a Cliff Bar. This is a coffee waffle. And these are just like
I've had those
glucose.
Before.
Yeah, it's like a shot of glucose, and they're very good.
Yeah.
I didn't bring any of the gels, but you do take those as well on a run. Really experimenting with all this is one of the keys, I think, the strategies of running any distances is figuring out, okay, what works for your body, what doesn't, when do I need to take that food, when I don't.
Cliff Shots, is Cliff Shots for a type of goo?
It may be. I don't know. I'm
trying to remember what brand I used to buy because that one didn't have any sodium benzoate.
Okay.
I always look at the ingredients.
Yeah, that may be so. The Millennium Running has a lot of that stuff, and I just usually I'll pick up gels from there and have extra on hand. I bought this last year. This is a running vest, actually. And so
Does it go on the back or the front?
You put them, yeah, this part's in the back, and you just wear it like a vest. So up front, you've got these pockets here that your water bottles go in. So you've actually got two of these pockets here. And this actually was a game changer. If you're going to run any kind of long distances, that's a game changer because you can change out your water bottles pretty quick. You can actually put an extra bladder in the back, but there's a big pocket in the back where you can carry
the bladder carries the water.
Yep, there's a special place for the bladder back here. But here you've got a pocket where you can carry rain gear or anything you like. There's also something similar to this as like a camelback, and I was wearing this a lot before I got that other vest. But that's got a big bladder in here, and then of course you sip it with.
Do you take a sip like every half hour, or?
Yeah, I sweat a lot, and with the humid weather, it requires a lot of water. There's a lot of hydration required. So if I'm going for a short run, I might just take something like this. This is just a water bottle. So
my short runs, because I mentioned Cindy earlier, I used to run with her, and I learned that if I'm doing a short run, I don't need water. I can actually do a 10-mile run without water. Anything more than that, I wouldn't try.
And I think you're right. I think it just depends what you feel like the day. If it's going to be really humid, I may take a hydration pack because again, I'm just sweating out all that water and need to replace it pretty quick. So. But if it's a cooler day, I may go for a 7-8 mile run and not even have any water. Yeah, so it's a good point.
I used to see runners because I started running when I was 35, and I would see runners all over town, and I'm like, they're not wearing a belt and they're not carrying water. How do they do that? I didn't know how they did that because I wouldn't even run a 5K without my belt and water.
Yeah.
So, now I can do without the water, but I still need a belt because I have my phone with me and tunes. Do you have your phone with you? Does it stay charged?
So actually the reason, one of the reasons I train with this Solomon vest is a place to put my phone. Because that way I don't have to carry it in my hand, and that's how I like to carry it. And then I can carry extra water as well. But there's a pocket in the front there I can put my phone.
And for hearing, do you use earbuds or the one?
I have both
with the line attached.
Yep, I have both. They're both Bluetooth. The inner ear, and then the ones that kind of the runners that sit on the outside.
That's what I have.
Bone condensing, I think, or something is what they call those. So they just kind of sit on the outside, and that way you can hear the ambient noise that's around you.
What do you listen to when you're running?
I listen to everything. I've got a real menagerie of different types of music, and I got some country on there. Sometimes I'll have upbeat Christmas music during the holiday. I mean, I get all kinds of stuff. So, and I don't always listen to it. I'll turn it off and just listen to the silence for a while.
Well, I didn't have any of that when I first started running.
Yeah.
And lots of runners, they didn't. Jeff Galloway, he never had any of that because it didn't exist.
Right.
So the first marathon, I didn't have any music to listen to.
Yeah.
But I talked to all the runners around me, and there was and I did an 11-minute mile then.
Yeah.
I can't do that now.
Sure you
Maybe.
can.
Well, I have to work on it. I can try. It all depends, but it was different. It was fun having all these people to talk to.
Yeah.
And then the iPod came out, and I'm like, I love my iPod. I told my husband, thank you. That was the best present you ever gave me.
Right. Yeah.
And
well, I think the difference too in the type of racing that I like to do, trail racing is different than road racing, and it's you get in touch, I think, with nature a little more. I liken it to more like camping when you're running on the trails, because you're with you're experiencing the trails. You feel every route. You can see the rocks. You see the trees. You're right there with it.
The Manchester Marathon, part of it goes through a
trail.
So
it goes through the trail. So that's a fun part of it too, and that's a loop. I think it comes back. I think on that same trail. But that's why I like the ultra running. I honestly cannot stand road racing. I think it's just a mental drain on me. So for the people that can do it, it's fantastic. And like you'd mentioned Sydney, who's done one in every state. I mean, that's quite a feat to do a marathon in every state. But that's why I like to do it, because it's more of an adventure to me. And I'm drawn to my first marathon ever. I've only done 2 marathons, but my very first marathon was the Joe English Twilight Challenge, and it was heading into the evening when it got dark, so you had to have headlamps, and it was up and down the hills on the Joe English Park in Amherst.
Oh, okay.
So that was my first marathon, and it was
I didn't
fantastic.
even know they had a marathon in Amherst.
Yeah. I haven't seen it for a couple of years, but they did use it. It was very small. There was a handful of people that were part of the race, and it was a loop trail that went through a barn every time you did. I think it was 10 loops, but you went up and down the hills, and it was dark. And I just loved it because it was adventurous.
And what time of the year is that?
I think that was in October, November.
Most
I
of the
think that's when that
marathons
was, yeah.
seem to be in that time frame.
Yeah. But this was neat because it was a trail race, and I'm always drawn to races that are just a little bit more extreme. I don't know why, because I'm not, I just started doing this, but in Camden, Maine, they had the McGonagall Wicked Tough 10K. I did that one. And the Kismet Cliff Trail, which is in North Conway, they call that the Beast of the East. It's one of the hardest half marathons, and I did that last year, and it was a blast. Okay. It was an absolute blast. So I'm just I'm just an average guy. I finish in the middle of the pack usually. But I think it's just my love of being on the trails and training for it. I don't have any other physical advantage other than that than just to put in the time. I think.
You can go so far. I mean, endurance, 100 miles. Well, you did 50. Even that is like incredible.
Yeah. So Rachel and I, my wife and I, have been watching the Cocodona 250 right now. So that's a 250-mile road race. It's going on right now in Arizona. So we've been glued to the TV watching that. She's like, don't get any ideas about doing a 250-mile race. So, I mean, I will turn 54 this year, so...
then write it in Roman numerals, L-I-V.
Yeah.
And then people look, what, live? Yeah, figure it out.
Figure it out, yeah. So, so I just kind of take it a year at a time, and I'm not getting any younger, so I'd like to try some of these races like a 50, which I did last year with my son, and I'm doing it with the 100-mile race with my son this year. And it's the same one. It's the Mid-State Massive Ultra Trail, which starts actually in New Hampshire, runs all the way through the middle of Massachusetts, and ends up on the south side of the state. So we're going to plan a...
Where is the 100-mile race going to be?
Yeah, that's the Mid-State Massive. So it starts in New Hampshire, and then it runs down. It's just west of Worcester, Mass.
How many people run in a race like that? I mean, is it like hundreds?
Oh gosh,
of people,
yeah, there's hundreds of people.
Really?
We did the 50, and I can't remember exactly how many people signed up for that. And it does depend. When the weather is bad, some people drop out and not even start the race just based on that, because running 100 mile in the rain is is no
100
fun.
miles in the rain. I ran 2 marathons in the rain. I was soaked start to finish.
Yeah, it's not a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
But I tried training for a marathon maybe a year or two. I think it was last year. But I keep getting injured when I try. As a fitness professional, I know what a slow twitch muscle fiber is and what a fast twitch muscle fiber is, and if you've got the endurance, you're a slow twitcher.
Yeah.
So I'm a slow twitcher as well. So I can do the distance, but I'm not a fast twitcher. Every time I try to go fast, I always end up getting hurt, and I never learn. I always keep trying.
Keep trying. That's right. Yeah, I like to settle in for the long run too. It's to me, it's more fun than doing a 5K or a 10K where you're really speeding and you're all out for that amount of time. I just like to settle in.
Do you listen to podcasts when
Yeah, sometimes it's well, I don't usually listen to podcasts. I have friends who do.
I do now. This year, I've just been listening to a lot of podcasts and catching up on news. All over the world.
That's one way to do it. I like my music, so to me it's motivational to get out there and run with music, and then it's just kind of funny because you think, especially when you're trail racing, you've got your music and it's kind of like that that background anthem to your run, and all of a sudden you hit a route and you're just like. Your phone goes flying out of your hand. Everything is just okay, and then you brush yourself off and you get up and keep going.
I like to run up by the outlet mall, but that could be dangerous because you can see what's for sale in the windows.
Oh, well, they have actually, that outlet does have a great loop around the parking lot there. So
and there's a lot of runners.
There's a lot of runners that go there. Yeah, so I like to do that when I know, because I know the mapped out loop and how far it is.
Have you run in the wintertime up there? Because they put down awful lot of salt and it wears out the shoes quickly.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about running too. If you're training for a higher mileage race, is you go through shoes faster. So I would say every 3 to 4 months I'm buying a new pair of shoes. if I
That's the
alternate,
average,
if I
yeah.
alternate between road shoes and the trail shoes,
Do
it's
you
not
keep
quite
track
quite
of
as
the
much.
miles?
Relatively, relatively. I mean, I kind of look on my on my Koros app, which I use my Koros phone here, keeps track of on the app how many miles I'm running.
Do you run every single day?
Not typically. They're probably 6 days a week, but it's Monday's the break, and then at least according to my training plan now, Monday's the day off, and then it's usually alternates between a light day and a heavy, light, heavy, as far as the distance ran.
So what's a light, heavy, light, heavy?
Light would be like a 3 to 4 mile easy
No,
run.
Today was a light run.
Well, I think it was probably moderate today because we did the fast, almost like not quite sprinting a mile, but a very fast mile. Take a break for a mile, and then a very fast mile again. So it was probably more of a hard day, I guess. But on either end of that was an easier run. So you work up to that. You work up, like, do 2 miles easy. And with trail running too, it's different than using heart rate. Perceived effort is how typically they go by perceived effort, because when you're on the trails, your heartbeat's going to be all over the place. So it has to, you're going to slow down going up the hills, and you're going to kind of speed up a little going down the hills. So you don't want to go by your heart rate. You can, I guess, but I just go by perceived effort.
Go.
Yeah.
I actually had a pretty good run today.
Yeah.
I was
good.
happy because I haven't had good runs.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it's fun to have a good day. There's been relatively few days that I've been out that I just don't want to be out running. I mean, it would have to be really bad. I'm either not feeling well or, just things aren't lining up. So
for me, a long run is 10 miles.
Yeah.
What is a long run for you?
Well, when I'm training, a long run would be more like 15 to 20. I never, before I started a training plan, usually I went out and I never did anything less than 6 miles, and that was a short run for me. So and then I'd tell my wife, well, I'm going for a long run today, and that would be like a 10-mile run. Yeah, I think typically when you're training, though, the descriptors of a long run are going to be a little bit different. So, yeah.
Back when I was running marathons and could run them okay, I would run from my house all over town, all the way up to past what is that church up here, St. James? Mm-hmm. And that would take me about an hour and 45 minutes to do the 10 miles. And I wish I could do that now.
Well, and I think just getting out there and enjoying it and not keeping track. That's why I don't like really road races that are super competitive. I just like to settle in there, and you get your pace and enjoy it, And for me, the trails just happen to be the place that it's more adventurous than being on the road. So
is the 100-mile race all on trails, or is
it's mostly trail with I don't know specifically about the 100 yet because I haven't looked at the trail, but like the 50, I want to say it was like 15 miles worth of pavement, and the rest was trail. So. And what was unique about the Mid-State Massive Trail, which we did, the 50-mile, it started in the evening. So we ran in the dark, the whole time in the dark. And that was more adventurous too. So that's the kind of stuff I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And people wonder, why, they ask me, you realize this starts like in the dark, right? Why are you running in the dark? Well, why not? I mean, it was fun. It's quiet, it's beautiful. The weather was amazing. It was clear skies. It's silent. You see the stars. You hear the owls hooting, and it was just an amazing experience watching the sun come up, and that glow as the sun's coming up as you're running on a country road and there's nobody else around. It's pretty amazing.
I think I recall Cindy telling me about the marathon in Hawaii. It started before dawn.
Okay.
Because they had to start
early
because it gets so hot there. And when I was training for marathons, I would get up and leave before dawn.
Yeah, I think most races, most of the longer races too, the marathons and whatnot and longer, start earlier for that reason, just because, just to get people going when it's cooler.
I would wear a reflective vest, and I'd have the flashlight, and I wasn't worried about getting hit by a car. What I worried about was, what if there's a skunk on the road? And that's what I worried about.
That is possible.
Didn't want to get sprayed by a polecat.
Yeah, that is entirely possible. I don't know. I've never run into any, but I guess that's a possibility.
But I did, by the outlet mall, by the sign, there was a little, I had to look it up to find out what this creature was. There's this little creature there. It was a muskrat.
Oh, yeah.
And I ran by it, and it started chasing me. And I went, ah! And I ran faster, and I turned around, and it was there looking at me.
You got your mace? Do you carry mace with you? Or
No.
for rabid animals?
But no, but that was a first. So if you run by the outlet mall and you see that little critter, don't go near him. He's mean. He's a mean, nasty little guy.
Yeah, don't engage him.
We only have about 3 minutes left. I can't see it goes by really fast. And I'm wondering if I forgot to ask you anything.
Yeah.
I did ask you about your socks, your clothes. So what do you do with your as it gets warmer, and because everybody wears layers?
Yeah, I just have a tank top in the summertime. I'm not. I don't run without a shirt on. I'm not one of those kind of guys. Nobody wants to see that anyway. So I run with a tank top, and the humid weather does kill me. So
it's very draining.
Very draining, and I don't do well with that just because I do sweat a lot. So I don't just keep pushing through it. I guess run earlier in the morning or maybe in the evening when it's somewhat cooler.
Yeah.
Carry a lot of water. So.
And you get lighter as you go because you sweat and you're running out of water.
Yeah, exactly. I did a long run last year, and I hadn't planned correctly with the food that I had with me, so I called my wife halfway through my run. I said, "Hey, honey, can you have, at this time, I calculated when I was going to be home, can you go to McDonald's? Can you get their big breakfast meal and just have it ready for me at home, because I'm going to be ready for food." So she did that for me. She has a lot of patience. There's a lot of, this kind of running takes time, so she's very long-suffering.
Salt. Do you carry salt?
I do with the hydration stuff. Usually has sodium in it, so electrolytes. That's usually what I put in the water.
Jelly bellies?
Yeah, I guess that's part of it too. I do like the jellies more than I like the
sports
little
beans, the jelly sports beans. Yeah,
I think more than I like the goos. The goos are just sometimes they're just a little hard to take down, and you eat too many of those.
I don't even know if they make the ones that I used to, because I tried looking for them online and I couldn't find any.
They have little candies. I'm not sure about the ones you're talking about, but they have little candies. They're just little like
choc block. Yeah,
chewy.
There's a lot of different
chewy
things.
Candy things. Yeah, and those are nice. They go down easy, and but yeah, it's all experimentation right now for me, and what I want to eat.
I think it's cool.
Yeah,
and you're one of the superhumans.
I appreciate that. I don't feel like it, but
and I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes. 100 miles. I can't even imagine that.
I'll let
how
you
long
know.
It takes.
I'll let you know.
Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And best of luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you for watching.